navigating legal systems. It can feel like trying to find your way through a total labyrinth, right?
Hmm.
Especially when your case isn't, straightforward or fits neatly into the usual boxes.
Yeah, exactly. And what happens when you're trying to push a really complex case forward, but the traditional support you might expect, like lawyers, police, maybe even doctors, it feels, well, unavailable.
That's precisely the situation the source material for this deep dive gets into. It describes it in pretty vivid detail.
It's about facing what feels like this overwhelming challenge, often with just mountains of information and feeling like, you're basically on your own.
Exactly. And our source today is a guide from someone who has apparently been in exactly that position. It's really born from their own difficult personal experience, offering a practical, sort of step-by-step approach.
And it focuses on tackling one of the most daunting tasks in that kind of scenario, actually
Mhm.
creating a court bundle.
Right, the bundle.
It's definitely a unique perspective, and it comes from a place of necessity, or at least that's how the speaker presents it. Their goal, as outlined in this guide, seems to be empowering individuals to take control of their own documentation when those traditional paths feel blocked.
Okay, so our mission for this deep dive then is to explore the core ideas in this guide. We'll look at why the source suggests a DIY approach might even be necessary in some cases, and how they recommend structuring and organizing just vast amounts of information.
And the specific tools they propose to make that happen, right? Focusing heavily on this bundle creation process.
Exactly.
Okay, let's unpack this then. So the guide kind of opens by describing a landscape where, according to the speaker, individuals are facing these really powerful entities. They even allege this includes secret services.
Wow.
Yeah, and the source claims that when you're up against opponents like that, traditional legal avenues can become incredibly difficult, or maybe just shut down completely.
Which leads directly to that question the source really grapples with. Why might someone feel they actually have to go it alone?
Well, the speaker shares their own deeply personal account, describing being, and this is their word, shunned. Shunned by lawyers, police, doctors, across multiple jurisdictions, apparently.
And what's really striking is the level of distrust the speaker talks about regarding legal professionals. It seems quite profound.
It really does. And they offer several reasons for this, based on their experiences, of course. One is just purely practical, the sheer scale and complexity of the cases they describe, involving potentially years, multiple alleged crimes, different countries. It might just be too vast for many lawyers to realistically take on or dedicate the time needed to truly understand it all.
Okay, so it's not necessarily malice they're suggesting, but maybe also the overwhelming nature of the case itself. Just too much.
That's certainly one factor mentioned, yeah. But the source also speculates on, like, psychological dimensions, too, suggesting lawyers, maybe like other professionals they encountered, might just get scared when confronted with cases involving alleged powerful state actors.
Scared?
Yeah, like maybe there's an inclination to just avoid conflict with these perceived power structures. That's the idea they put forward.
Hmm. That's a heavy implication. And the source goes even further than that, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. They make some pretty alarming observations about the Bar Association itself, suggesting it might, well, in their view, function a bit like a crime cartel,
Yeah.
potentially obstructing true justice.
A crime cartel. That's strong language.
Very strong.
Yeah.
And they also raise suspicions about lawyers and judges potentially being involved in secret or semi-secret organizations. They even cite a personal alleged experience, claiming a barrister, who apparently later became a Supreme Court judge, was involved in stalking them. They use this as an example of what they see as, deep systemic issues.
Okay, so based on all these experiences and perceptions, the source's conclusion is pretty stark.
Extremely stark. Basically, you may find yourself in a position where you have to become your own investigator, maybe even your own doctor to document harm, and your own lawyer.
Wow, just doing it all yourself.
But here's where it gets really interesting, I think. The speaker doesn't just present this as some grim last resort. They actually suggest that this process, taking things into your own hands, can be incredibly empowering.
Empowering, how so?
Well, doing the groundwork yourself gives you, like, unparalleled control over your information. You build this deep insight into your own case's complexities. And importantly, it puts you in a much stronger position to manage lawyers effectively if you do decide to hire one later on. You actually know your case inside out.
Ah, so you're not just handing it over blindly, you're directing things.
Exactly. The ultimate goal, as the speaker frames it, is to reclaim justice, essentially taking back agency in a situation where they felt the system had completely failed them.
Okay, so let's dive into the core practical task the guide focuses on then, building what's called a bundle.
Right, the bundle. And the source clarifies that term can mean different things. But in this context, and what the speaker prefers, it means one physical ring binder.
Okay, one binder. Thinking of it like that helps.
It does. But even focusing on single binders, you have to remember the sheer scale of the cases discussed in the source. We're potentially talking years, many alleged crimes, across multiple countries. So you're still dealing with a massive amount of documentation. It likely needs to be organized across, potentially many binders for just one case.
And creating these bundles manually, that sounds like it presents some pretty significant practical hurdles.
Oh, absolutely. You don't just need one copy, right? You need multiple physical sets for everyone involved, the judge, yourself, maybe several respondents or other parties. Imagine manually photocopying, sorting, hole punching, filing, all that. It seems like a recipe for errors, documents getting out of order, maybe pages going missing.
A logistical nightmare.
Totally. And here's where it gets critically important, according to the source's perspective. Courts often require consecutive page numbering, and not just within one binder. It has to run throughout the entire collection of bundles for a single case. Every single page across all binders needs a unique, continuous number.
Wait, seriously? So if you have, say, 5 binders, the numbering isn't just 1 to 200 in each binder. It's 1 straight through to, like, 1,000 across all 5.
Precisely. That's the requirement they highlight, using the UK High Court as an example.
Okay, wow. Why? What's the reasoning behind such a strict rule?
Well, the compelling why, according to the source's very specific perspective, is rooted in security and preventing sabotage. The speaker actually contends that, and this is a direct quote, intelligence agencies are in the business of sabotage. That's their daily bread and butter.
Right. Okay, so the numbering is like a security feature.
That's how they frame it. They argue that if every single page has a unique, continuous number across the whole set, it becomes instantly obvious if any page is removed from any copy. The number sequence would be broken. You'd see the gap.
That definitely highlights the importance of document integrity in legal proceedings, especially if you're concerned about tampering.
Exactly. And trying to do that kind of manual consecutive numbering yourself, especially if you need to add documents later as the case evolves,
Yeah.
well, it sounds like a complete headache. The source describes attempts leading to tipexing, errors, headaches, anger, and frustration. Just a mess.
I can absolutely picture that. So how do you get around this painstaking manual process?
This is where the source introduces a specific solution. They recommend using a professional online platform that's apparently designed exactly for this purpose, one they claim many lawyers actually use. It's called Bundle Docs.
Okay, bundle docs. So what does the source highlight as the key advantages of using a platform like that?
Well, the primary benefit mentioned is just ease of use. The source describes it as genuinely making bundles made easy. Simple as that.
Makes sense.
It's also presented as pretty affordable, around $6 or $10 per month for one case on their basic subscription. The source feels that's very reasonable, given what it can do.
Yeah, that does seem manageable, especially when you compare it to, I don't know, massive printing costs or paying lawyers hourly rates to collate documents manually.
Right, and the platform is also said to handle large volumes pretty well. They mention handling cases with up to 3,000 pages, which sounds substantial.
Definitely covers a lot of ground.
It also includes built-in backups weekly, according to the source, which provides that crucial security for all your hard work. You don't want to lose everything.
Oh yeah, backups are absolutely non-negotiable for something this important. Can't risk it.
And they particularly praise the customer service. The source describes their experience with the live chat support as exceptional. Found them very nice, extremely helpful, fast, and very pleasing to work with. That kind of feedback stands out.
Good support makes a huge difference, doesn't it? Especially when you're learning a new tool for such a critical, maybe stressful task.
For sure. And using the platform also apparently generates professional, neat, and internationally accepted bundles, which makes sense if, as they claim, it's widely used by legal professionals anyway.
So it basically gives your self-created documents the look and feel of professionally prepared legal bundles. Takes away that amateur look.
That seems to be the idea, yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, for anyone wanting to just try it out, the platform apparently offers a free 30-day trial with no obligation.
Okay. A free trial is good. And the source also specifically mentions a promotion code, right? Horton 10.
Yes, they do. The speaker includes this code, Horton 10, in the guide. And they explain that if you choose to sign up using this code, it costs you absolutely nothing extra. But they receive a referral reward described as 10% of your payment. And they state this reward is then channeled back to support other victims and help fund the creation of future guides and resources.
Ah, okay. So that's presented as a kind of direct way listeners, if they find the tool helpful for their own situation, could potentially contribute to the broader effort the speaker describes in the source.
Exactly. It's offered as an option. Now let's talk structure. Because just having the tool isn't enough, right? The source really emphasizes that good structure is paramount in these complex cases.
Right. Organization is key.
Yeah, and it's not just for your own sanity, keeping track of everything. It's also, as the speaker bluntly puts it, entirely in your best interest not to annoy judges.
Haha. Yeah, that makes sense. Making it easy for the judge to find information in your bundle must be a huge strategic advantage.
Absolutely. A disorganized mess must be a complete nightmare for anyone trying to review it under pressure. So the source provides a recommended top-level structure, thinking of each main section as a separate ring-minder, specifically tailored for the kinds of victim cases they describe.
Okay, so what are the main binders or sections they suggest?
Well, first up is the core bundle. This is really the heart of your case. It should contain your main legal pleadings, your personal witness statement, particulars of claim, and any core correspondence directly with the court or the judge.
Got it. The essential legal documents that actually lay out the case itself. What's next?
Then there's the evidence bundle. This is for all your general evidence supporting your claims. Following that, they recommend officials and correspondence. This bundle specifically pulls out interactions you've had with external officials or bodies. Things like police reports, letters to or from attorney generals, the UN, ambassadors, members of parliament, that kind of thing.
Ah, so interactions with authorities get their own dedicated space, separate from general evidence.
Exactly. The source suggests keeping this separate helps highlight these specific, often crucial interactions. It prevents them getting lost in the bulk of other evidence.
Makes sense. What else?
Next, experts and witnesses. This is for affidavits or statements from people who provide specific expertise, or maybe witness accounts relevant to your case. The source gives examples like alleged FBI whistleblower Gerald Sosbee or alleged MI6 figure Carl Clark. And they suggest you might subdivide this section by the person or the organization providing the statement.
Okay. And I think you mentioned there's a bundle dedicated to other victims.
Yes, that's right, a victim's bundle. This is specifically for including references to other similar victim cases. The source suggests this can help show patterns or demonstrate the scale of the issue you're describing.
Right, showing it's not just an isolated incident, potentially.
Potentially, yeah. Then there's the references bundle. This is quite interesting. It's for technical documents that might help prove the existence or capabilities of alleged technologies involved in the case.
Yeah.
Or things like declassified government reports. They mentioned MKUltra as an example. Or even press reports concerning alleged criminality that's relevant to your case background.
So background material, technical specs, historical context.
Exactly. And this bundle in particular can be really extensively subdivided by topic. Things like directed energy weapons, implants, mind control technology, whatever is relevant to your specific evidence and claims.
This seems really useful for grouping complex background info or technical details that a judge might need to understand the core claims.
For sure. And finally, legal authorities. This bundle is where you put the precedent cases, the relevant statutes, and the laws that actually support the legal arguments you're making back in the core bundle.
Okay, the legal backbone.
Precisely. And the source really emphasizes the benefit of this whole structure. A judge can easily cross-reference. They can look at a claim in your core bundle, then easily flip to the relevant law in the legal authorities binder, or check a technical detail in the references binder without having to wade through one single, massive, mixed-up volume.
Yeah, that practical benefit for the judge really underlines why structure is so important. It's about usability.
Totally. So how do you actually translate this multi-binder structure into the BundleDocs platform they recommend?
Right. How does the software handle it?
Well, the platform apparently uses tabs and nested sections to replicate this structure. You'd create the top-level bundles, core, evidence, officials, etc. as main tabs. Then within those main tabs, you can literally drag and drop other tabs or individual documents to create subsections. Like you could drag a directed energy weapons tab so it sits under the main evidence tab, or maybe under references.
So it becomes a subsection?
Yeah, the source notes, you just need to pay attention to the visual alignment when you're dragging and dropping to make sure it becomes properly nested underneath. And then whenever you save your work, the platform automatically updates the internal numbering, usually showing something like the bundle number, then the tab or section number within it.
Okay. Seems fairly intuitive. What about the organization within those sections, especially something like the evidence bundle, which could potentially hold hundreds of different documents?
Yeah.
Chronological.
This is a key point the source makes. They strongly recommend organizing the evidence bundle thematically rather than purely chronologically.
Thematically. Why is that?
Well, think about the kind of multifaceted cases they describe. A strictly chronological approach would mean you're mixing completely different types of events on the same page. You might have, say, an alleged house-breaking incident, followed immediately by alleged car sabotage documentation, followed by an email about an alleged directed energy attack, all within a few pages because they happen close together in time. The source suggests this kind of chronological mixing would just make the judge's head spin, and they'd completely lose the plot trying to follow the different threads.
Haha. Yeah, I can absolutely see how thematic grouping would bring much more clarity to a complex narrative like that. Keep apples with apples, oranges with oranges.
Exactly. Grouping evidence by themes, like having a section for DW attacks, another for implants, another for housebreaking, keeps all the related documents together, allowing someone to see the pattern or story for that specific issue.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Then the source recommends using chronological order within each of those specific thematic sections. So all the DEW attack evidence is together, ordered by date. All the housebreaking evidence is together, ordered by date.
Best of both worlds, kinda.
Seems like it. They also mentioned hoping to standardize this thematic structure across different victim cases, using a shared affidavit template to make comparing specific types of evidence easier between cases. Although, they noted the template wasn't finalized or linked in the material we looked at.
Right, but the core idea is clear. Create a consistent way to categorize evidence types for clarity and comparison.
Yes, that's the underlying principle they advocate. Now, once you've got your structure sorted out, you need to actually get your documents into it and, generate the final output.
Right. How does that part work with the platform? Uploading and finishing.
It sounds pretty straightforward. You upload your documents, which you can apparently do easily just by dragging and dropping them onto the platform window. Or you can browse and select files from your computer, or even directly from cloud storage services like Dropbox, OneDrive, or Google Drive if you use those.
Okay, good flexibility there. What kind of files does it take?
It supports the common file types you'd expect for legal stuff. PDFs are key, but also Word documents, and even image files like JPEGs or PNGs.
Okay, covering most bases for evidence and documents then.
Seems like it. Once your files are uploaded into the system, you just drag and drop them into the specific bundle and section you've created for them within your structure. Put them in the right thematic folder, essentially.
And you can move things around easily if you change your mind.
Yeah, and the source also notes the platform makes it easy to include or exclude specific documents from the final generated bundle, which is useful, they say, for managing things like page limits. They mention the UK has a guideline of maybe 350 pages per bundle, although the source also says judges can often allow more for these complex victim cases if necessary.
Good to have that flexibility to tailor the output. And then finally, you generate the actual ready-to-print PDF bundle.
Yes, apparently you just click a button to generate it. But the source highlights several really crucial settings you need to pay attention to during this generation process. The absolute non-negotiable requirement, and they really emphasize this, is choosing consecutive page numbering that runs throughout the entire collection of bundles, not per binder, but across the whole case.
Okay, we're back to that critical point about document integrity and the source's specific reasoning about sabotage prevention. They really hammer that home.
They really do. They also say they prefer using numeric section numbers rather than alphabetical ones, just for clarity. And they highly recommend ticking the box to include section title pages.
Why the title pages?
Because doing that apparently makes the platform automatically generate an index or table of contents specifically for each individual bundle, each physical ring binder.
Oh, wow. So you don't have to manually create an index page for each separate binder? That must be a huge time saver.
Absolutely. And think about the professionalism, too. What does the final generated PDF actually look like?
Yeah. What do you get at the end?
Well, crucially, it includes that consecutive page numbering stamped on every page, added automatically by the platform. No manual work needed there. And this is pretty cool. It also automatically generates internal hyperlinks within the PDF document itself.
Hyperlinks within the bundle PDF.
Yeah, it means you or the judge could click on an entry in the automatically generated index, or maybe a cross-reference within the text, and it would jump you directly to that specific page, even if it's hundreds of pages away.
Okay, that's a powerful feature for usability, especially when you're dealing with potentially thousands of pages across multiple binders. Makes navigation so much easier.
Absolutely. And updating the bundle later on is presented as very straightforward too. If you need to add a new document or move things around, you just make the changes within the platform's structure, hit save, and then regenerate the bundle. You get a brand new, correctly numbered, and fully hyperlinked version reflecting your changes.
So it seems like it handles a lot of the really tedious, error-prone stuff automatically.
That's certainly how the source presents it.
Okay, so if someone is listening to this and maybe this situation resonates with them, or they're just curious about this approach, what does the source suggest as practical first steps? Like, what's the homework?
Right, the source actually gives what they call homework. First step, they suggest, is to sign up for that free trial of Bundle Docs. Give it a whirl. And they remind you about that promotion code, Horton N10, which is available if you choose to use it as a way to support the effort the source describes at no extra cost to you.
Okay, step one, try the tool, see if it fits your needs and workflow.
Exactly. Then, step two is to start actually thinking about the specific subdivisions you would need for your particular case based on that recommended top-level structure we talked about. Core, evidence, officials, etc. Begin outlining what themes make sense for your evidence bundle. What categories of officials have you interacted with? What technical references or legal authorities are key to your arguments?
Basically, start building the skeleton of your case structure, maybe sketching it out within the platform during the trial, or even just on paper first.
Yes, precisely. Get the framework down. The source also includes a few brief practical tips in the guide. Things like editing the document titles within the platform before you generate the bundle, just to ensure your automatically generated index looks clean and professional. Little details like that. And also some general advice, like trying to include full documents whenever feasible, but if a document is just too large or maybe too sensitive to include in its entirety, make sure you provide clear, fail-safe references so someone knows exactly what it is and where to find it if needed.
Right, completeness, but also practicality. This deep dive has really pulled back the curtain on a highly specific but clearly crucial process described in this guide, especially for people who might feel unsupported by the traditional systems.
It really has. It shows how an individual, apparently driven by sheer necessity and determination, developed this really structured way to approach what seems like an overwhelming task, documenting a highly complex and sensitive case.
Yeah.
It really highlights the power of organizing information logically. The thematic structure for evidence seems particularly key, and it shows how leveraging specific tools, like this Bundle Docs platform they recommend, can help manage those really painstaking critical details, like the consecutive page numbering, which again, the source frames as absolutely vital for maintaining the integrity of your case documents, especially in the face of the alleged threats or interference they describe.
It definitely resents this whole approach, not just as a dry legal strategy, but as a genuine act of empowerment, maybe even resilience, when facing circumstances the source describes as truly daunting and, well, opaque.
It absolutely comes across that way, taking back control, essentially.
So here's a final thought, perhaps for you, the listener, to consider, building on the ideas we've explored from this source material. How can structured, verifiable documentation itself become a potent form of resistance, or maybe just clarity, not only in strictly legal contexts, but potentially whenever you feel you're navigating overwhelming or perhaps non-transparent systems in any part of life?
That's a powerful question to end on. Really makes you think.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. It's worth noting the speaker in the source material does mention that future guides are planned. They might potentially cover other aspects like evidence collection methods or content generation strategies, so there might well be more insights from this particular perspective to explore down the line.